2022, the year you've decided to be the neighborhood barbecue champ, stay tuned. I got 5 training tips. Make sure you take that title. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Patio. My name's Jake. You're watching Mom and Cook. Today on the channel, we're talking about 5 tips to step up your barbecue game in 2022. Maybe you're trying to be the barbecue champ in the neighborhood. Maybe you're just trying to step up your game. Maybe you're new to barbecue. But today, I'm going to give you 5 tips that are going to help you be successful when it comes to barbecue. Tip number 1, you've got to have a good thermometer. Can't stress this one enough. Listen, not all thermometers are created equal. In fact, I was testing one 3 weeks ago and it was off by 20 degrees. How are you going to get good results when your thermometer's off by 20 degrees? You're not. If you look around YouTube, cooking shows, barbecue shows, probably 95% or more of them have a Thermometer. So highly recommend you invest in one of these. They're gonna last you a long time. I've been using them for 15 years. This is my second one and it works great. The new one reads temperatures in under a second. Additionally, this is more than a thermometer. This also helps you test how tender your meat is and when it's done. When you're doing barbecue, you're doing a brisket or you're doing a pork shoulder or something like that, you want to be able to go and feel all the way around to make sure the tenderness that you're looking for is there. So this tool has 2 purposes and both of them are super important. Tip number 2, learn to cook with your hands and your eyes. A thermometer is only going to get you so far, right? When it comes to like steak or chicken, chicken's going to be done at 165. Steak, 120 to 145, depending on who you are and how you like your steak done, right? Those are easy. But when it comes to barbecue, there are no hard set rules, right? People will give you guidelines. Lots of people will pull off their brisket and wrap it at 165 or their pork butt. But lots of people will take it up to 180. They're looking at that bark. Is it set the way they want? Does it have the color that they're looking for, right? Pork, you get that going in that smoke, it turns that red color, and part of eating is how it looks. So it's good to spend a little bit extra time to get a little bit more color into your meat that's just going to get more smoky goodness in your mouth, and then learn how you like your bark, right? If your bark is not set and you wrap that brisket, when it's done, the bark's not going to be any better, right? You're going to get one shot before you wrap it to make sure it's right. So don't sit there and say, all right, it's 165, I got to wrap. Learn to experiment a little bit more, take your time and push your boundaries a little bit more because you might find that you're making some better barbecue. Tip number 3, learn to adjust what you're watching to your cooker. Now, the pellet grill versus a Kamado grill versus an offset, they all cook different. So there is a huge barbecue community on YouTube. There's lots of great channels, lots to learn, and a ton of very good recipes out there. But everyone's kind of using something different. So watch them learn, but remember, if you're cooking on a pellet grill, you're going to want to bring your temperatures down to get more smoke flavor into them. It's also going to take a little bit longer, especially if you take your piece of meat and you remove it from the bottom grate and you put it on the top grate to get more of that smokiness, the temperature is going to come down even more. So, if you're watching someone that's cooking on an offset at 275 and you think that your food's going to be done in the same amount of time, it's not, right? You're going to cook it slower to get the same kind of flavor that you're looking for to maximize your smoke. The Kamado grill is going to cook a little differently as well, right? This guy sucks in all the heat. The dome takes in a lot of that heat and fires it back at your meat. So it's more efficient when it cooks. So things are typically going to cook a little quicker on this, right? When you get into an offset, the better the draw is on that offset, the more hot air that's moving across the meat. So, you're going to cook higher, like 275, to get the result that you're looking for. So again, watch, learn from all the barbecue channels out there, but just remember that you're going to need to adapt it based on your style of cooker. Tip number 4, start simple. I know when you get a new smoker, you bring it home and everyone wants to do a brisket. There is nothing worse than spending $100 or more on a brisket and it turning out terrible. I've been there. You know, don't think that you're going to just buy a smoker, you're going to watch a video, and now you're a brisket expert. It doesn't work that way. There's a reason why, you know, Texas has the top 50 and everyone's restaurants are jumping around all the time. Everyone's doing something a little differently. It's not just a game of throwing a brisket on and cooking it for 14 or 16 hours, wrapping it, and it turning out great. There's a lot of little nuances to it, and it takes skill. Right? If you have something like a pellet grill, you're a leg up because you don't have to manage your fire, but it still takes some skill. So do yourself a favor and start with the most forgiving cook out there, like a pork butt. You almost can't ruin a pork butt. Even if you cook it too long, it's going to be fine. You know, doing a pork butt is going to allow you to learn about color and learn about bark and try and wrap it at different. You know, try wrapping it at 165, try wrapping it at 180, try doing one unwrapped. See what you like. Then get into some ribs. And watch some videos on ribs, right? Everyone gets into 3-2-1 ribs. That's kind of what everyone hears about. Don't do that. You're not going to get a great rib. Watch some other videos out there and learn. There's some nuances there. Again, you know, some people will not wrap. Some people will wrap after 3 hours. Some will wrap after 4 hours. You're going to have to play and see what works for you and works for your cooker. But you know, once you get those two pieces down, then go out and try some different things, right? Like chicken is not easy to do on a smoker. A lot of times you end up with rubbery skin. Now there's a bunch of different ways to get around that, right? You can do salt brines, you can boil it first, which sounds weird, but check out some videos on it. You can try and use some baking powder or flour on it to dry it out. You can air dry it. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. But it's not the easiest thing in the world to cook if you really want to get good, crispy skin. Then once you get those to a point where you're happy with it, then try a brisket. Right? You've got lots of time to try and learn, but you want to, you know, it's like if you're into goal setting at all, right? Lots of people, they set this big goal and they never get there and they get frustrated. And part of the reason for that is that they don't celebrate the little wins along the way, right? You got to do the same thing with barbecue, right? Celebrate a good rack of ribs or some good wings. Learn to get some wins under your belt so then when you fail a little bit, it doesn't hurt as much. Our final tip number 5, arguably the most important one, fail and fail often. What do I mean by that? Right, when you were in school, you studied for a test and you either passed or failed it. You know, you were taught that failure was bad. No one wanted to get the C or the B or the D, or in my case, lots of E's and F's, but that was considered bad. In real life, failure is the greatest teacher. And it's free. So fail and fail often, but take something away from every time you cook. Right? Like a lot of times on YouTube, you see perfect cooks all the time. Like if you watch my channel, I've shown you steaks that have been overcooked. I could have deleted the video and not shared it with you. I don't care. I overcook a steak from time to time. It's not the end of the world. But when you fail, just say, hey, I like the color of this, but I didn't like this. Or I like the bark, but I didn't like this. Or I like the texture, but I didn't like this. It's a game of learning. This is what it's all about. Right? You're not going to just, one day something's not going to click and you're going to cook perfect barbecue all the time. Just really, it doesn't work that way unless you're like a full-time barbecue person. But for those of us backyard people, we're only doing it on the weekends and sometimes not every weekend because the weather doesn't allow it or whatever. So you just got to have fun with it. Right? You can see I'm starting up my offset behind me, getting ready to do some turkey. It's my 8th cook. Is everything going to be perfect just because I've been barbecuing for 20 years? No. No, this is a whole different animal. I've got to learn this thing. And that is just part of the adventure in the world of barbecue, and you got to have fun with it and just enjoy the process and eventually you're going to turn into some great food. Did you learn something new today? Hopefully you got some value out of this video. I'm hoping that this is going to be your year to be the barbecue champ of your neighborhood. If you liked what you saw, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. While we're talking about that, I'm moving my videos to Monday nights, just so you guys know. I'll be putting them out Monday nights going forward. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you again soon.